Hey everybody, and welcome to the deep dive. Today we're going to be looking at Jaipur rugs.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, they have a really fascinating company culture. And we've got a listener who is super interested in building a playbook around how to bring new team members into this culture.
Okay.
And specifically, they're interested in this idea of personal evolution, which seems to be like a core part of how Jaipur rugs does things.
Gotcha. Sounds like a great topic for a deep dive.
Yeah, so to do this, we've collected a bunch of different materials from Jaipur Rugs. We've got some of their internal documents. We've got some speeches by their founder, Nand Kishore Chaudhary.
Great.
Yeah, we're going to be digging through all of that and trying to see if we can unearth some of the secrets to personal evolution at Jaipur Rugs.
Okay, great.
So maybe to start off, could you just give us a little bit of background on Jaipur Rugs? Like, what's their deal? What do they actually do?
So Jaipur rugs, they're known for making these beautiful hand-knotted rugs,
Uh,
but they're way more than just a rug company. They're really all about empowering artisans, especially women, in rural India and, giving them a platform to showcase their skills and earn a sustainable livelihood.
so it's like a social enterprise, kind of?
Exactly. They've got this really strong social mission woven into, the fabric of their business.
I love that.
Yeah, and it's really inspiring to see how they've managed to create this model where, business success and social impact go hand in hand.
Okay, cool. So that's kind of the big picture of Jaipur rugs. But for today, we really want to zoom in on this idea of personal evolution and, figure out how they actually implement that in their company culture.
Absolutely.
So where should we start with that?
Well, to understand personal evolution at Jaipur Rugs, we need to look at their JRWay model, which kind of lays it all out. And their foundation is built on this idea of nurturing creativity and empowering artisans to live a dignified life. And they have these 5 core values that act as guiding principles: integrity, humility, empathy, shared wisdom — they call that Sarolta — and excellence. It's like these values are the soil where personal evolution can grow.
So how does Jaipur rugs define personal evolution?
Their materials describe it as a continuous journey of self-discovery and growth. It's about constantly learning, unlearning old patterns, and being open to new perspectives.
Okay, it reminds me a bit of that quote from Nand Kishore Chaudhary.
Oh, yeah, the one where he says, "I firmly believe that learning, unlearning, and relearning brings a childlike innocence and eventually helps business to flourish organically."
Yes, that's the one.
Yeah, that's such a powerful statement, right?
Tell me, it seems like they're encouraging a mindset of, always learning and growing and being willing to adapt. But like, how do we translate this into an actual playbook for new team members?
Well, the JRWay model points us to 4 key elements: language, symbols, rituals, and ceremonies. Maybe let's start with language. The way they talk at Jaipur Rugs reflects their culture and reinforces personal evolution.
I noticed Nand Kishore Chaudhary often calls his life the University of Hard Rocks of Life. Such a cool metaphor. What do you think he's trying to say with that?
It highlights the importance of learning from experience, I think. Like, true growth comes from facing challenges, from dealing with those hard rocks.
Yeah, and there are other phrases too, like finding yourself through losing yourself, which seems like almost paradoxical.
Right. It's about letting go of ego and preconceived notions to find your true potential.
There's also the higher school of unlearning. It challenges the traditional idea of education, doesn't it?
Yeah, like sometimes we need to unlearn things that hold us back to really learn and grow.
That can be tough for some people.
Definitely, especially those used to traditional hierarchies or who think they know it all.
It ties in nicely with their value of shared wisdom, or Saralta, though, right?
Right.
Everyone's perspective matters.
Absolutely, regardless of their position.
So how does that shared wisdom thing play out? Like, can you give me a specific example of how that works in practice?
Sure. Imagine a team at Jaipur Rugs working on a new rug design. Instead of a senior manager dictating the design, they get input from everyone, including the artisans who will be weaving the rug.
Oh, that's interesting. So it's like a truly collaborative process.
Exactly. They tap into the collective wisdom of the team.
So they're getting input from the people who are actually closest to the work, which makes a lot of sense.
Exactly.
Okay, cool. So we've talked about the language that they use, but what about symbols? Do they use symbols at Jaipur Rugs to reinforce this idea of personal evolution?
Absolutely. Symbols are really powerful. One example is their inverted pyramid.
The inverted pyramid.
Oh, okay.
I'm intrigued. Tell me more.
So instead of having the CEO at the top, Their pyramid puts the frontline workers and artisans at the very top.
Whoa, so it like flips the traditional power dynamic, right?
Exactly. It shows who they really value.
And it connects to their business ashram idea, doesn't it?
Right.
What is a business ashram?
It might sound strange, but it means that business can be a space for spiritual growth and personal transformation.
That's pretty radical. So work isn't just about making money.
Exactly. It's about nourishing the soul, too.
I love that.
Yeah.
But what does a business ashram actually look like? Do they have meditation rooms and stuff?
Not necessarily. It's more about creating a culture of respect, trust, and shared purpose.
Okay.
For example, they have rituals where executives work alongside artisans in the villages,
Oh, wow.
learning from their expertise and building relationships.
Okay, so that leads us nicely into our next topic, which is rituals.
Yeah, let's dive into that.
Let's see how Jaipur Rugs uses rituals to make personal evolution a part of what they do every day.
One that really stands out is the Higher School of Unlearning. They send professionals to work with experienced managers who aren't formally educated.
Wait, did I hear that right? Uneducated managers.
Yeah, it sounds counterintuitive, right?
It does.
But it challenges assumptions and promotes humility. These managers have so much knowledge from experience.
So it's like recognizing that expertise can come from all sorts of places, not just from, a fancy degree.
Absolutely. It's about valuing different kinds of knowledge.
And it must be really humbling for the professionals who go through this program.
Definitely. They're there to learn, not to teach.
And they break down hierarchies and build relationships in the process.
Yes, it's all connected.
So we've got the language, the symbols, the rituals. They all fit together,
Like pieces of a puzzle.
creating this culture of personal evolution at Jaipur Rugs.
Exactly.
But there's one more element, right?
Ceremonies.
Ah, yes. We'll have to save that for next time.
Looking forward to.
Me too. We'll explore how Jaipur Rugs celebrates those personal evolution journeys then.
Welcome back to our deep dive into Jaipur rugs and their unique approach to personal evolution.
So last time we were talking about language and symbols and rituals at Jaipur Rugs and how they all kind of work together to create this culture where personal growth is like really encouraged.
Mm-hmm.
But you mentioned this other element, ceremonies, and I'm really curious about how that fits in.
Yeah, ceremonies are really important. It's one thing to talk about personal evolution, but it's another thing to actually celebrate it.
Oh, totally. So
Yeah.
how does Jaipur Rugs do that? How do they acknowledge these personal journeys?
Well, they're amazing at celebrating individual achievements, especially among the artisans.
Like, they're not just focused on corporate goals.
Right. It's about recognizing the growth and accomplishments of each person.
I remember we were talking about Bimla Devi winning that German design award for her Manchaha rug.
Oh, yeah.
That must have been a huge moment for her. Did Jaipur Rugs do anything special to celebrate that?
Oh, absolutely. They held a whole ceremony in her village, invited her family, other artisans, and company leaders.
Wow, that's so cool.
Yeah, they really made her feel valued and appreciated.
It wasn't just about the award itself, right?
Right. It was about her whole journey and her creativity.
And they celebrate internal achievements too, right? Like within the company.
Oh, yeah, for sure. They might have a ceremony for someone who finished a difficult project or for a team that overcame a big obstacle.
It's about celebrating those breakthroughs, those times when you really push yourself.
Exactly. And it's about acknowledging that growth is hard, it comes with setbacks, and it takes resilience.
It reminds me of how they talk about not just selling carpets, but selling experiences, blessings, and stories.
Absolutely. By celebrating personal journeys, they're showing that everything they do has a human connection.
So they're creating a culture where everyone feels seen and heard.
Exactly. And appreciated for what they contribute.
Do you think that focus on the individual has an impact on the company's overall success?
I think it's a huge factor. When people feel valued, they're more engaged and committed to the company's mission.
It makes sense, right? Like they're happier and more productive.
Exactly. And by celebrating individual achievements, they inspire others to embrace personal evolution.
Okay, so we've talked about language, symbols, rituals, and now ceremonies. It seems like these are the key ingredients in their personal evolution playbook.
Yeah, they all work together to create this culture of growth and transformation.
But I'm still wondering, does this approach actually translate into tangible results, like for the individual and the company?
That's a great question. And it's something we'll explore in the last part of our deep dive. We'll look at how personal evolution benefits everyone involved.
All right, welcome back to the deep dive. We've been digging into Jaipur Rugs and this whole idea of personal evolution.
Yeah.
Looking at how they use language, symbols, rituals, ceremonies. It's really impressive, But I'm curious, does it actually lead to, like, tangible success?
That's the question, right? Does it actually work? And from everything we've seen in these Jaipur rugs materials, the answer seems to be yes.
So how do they actually measure the impact of personal evolution? Is it just a feeling, or do they have, like, specific things they look at?
It's not just a feeling, that's for sure. They actually do track things.
Okay, cool.
Jaipur Rugs understands that personal evolution has to be sustainable, and that means it needs to show up in both individual growth and company growth.
Right. It has to be good for everyone involved.
Exactly.
In one of his speeches, Nand Kishore Chaudhary talks about how his early success, he actually felt like it gave him a false sense of goodness.
Interesting.
And he had to go through this process of unlearning and transformation to actually take the company further. It's like he realized even success can hold you back if you're not careful.
Yeah, I think that's a really important point.
It's like that willingness to be vulnerable, to admit that he needed to change and grow. That's personal evolution in action, right?
Absolutely. It's a constant journey. You never really arrive.
And he created systems to encourage this kind of thinking throughout the whole company.
Oh, for sure.
Like that higher school of unlearning we talked about.
Right.
It's not just a cute name. It's actually about investing in employee growth, even if it means challenging them and making them uncomfortable.
I think it's brilliant.
Sending those professionals to learn from the managers who maybe don't have a formal education but have tons of experience.
Right. It just breaks down barriers and creates this amazing culture of mutual respect and learning.
And I read that it's actually had a really positive impact. Like, employee retention is up and collaboration between departments is way better.
It makes sense, right? When people feel valued, they're more likely to stick around and work together.
Yeah, it seems like they've found a way to make everyone happier and more productive.
And it's not just happening in the corporate offices. Remember the Manshaha project?
With the artisans designing their own rugs.
Yeah. That's personal evolution leading to creative breakthroughs.
And I bet it's good for business too, right? Those rugs must be pretty popular.
Oh, they are. They've won design awards and brought in a lot of revenue for the company.
It's like proof that when you empower people, good things happen.
It's a win-win. Personal growth and business success, they go hand in hand.
So for our listener who's trying to bring this personal evolution idea into their own life, what advice would you give them? Like, what's the biggest takeaway from all of this?
Well, I think the biggest lesson from Jaipur Rugs is that personal evolution is not a destination, it's a journey. It's about constantly learning, trying new things, and being willing to challenge yourself.
And it's not just about you as an individual.
Right.
It's about creating an environment where everyone can grow and contribute.
Exactly. It's about recognizing that when you invest in people, you invest in the success of the whole group, whether it's a company or a team or even a family.
I'm feeling pretty inspired, I gotta say.
Yeah, me too. It's really powerful stuff.
Jaipur Rugs shows us that success doesn't have to come at the expense of personal growth. In fact, it can be the foundation of it.
And they've given us a great example to follow, a real blueprint for creating a culture of growth and innovation and purpose. Now it's up to each of us to take those lessons and figure out how to use them in our own lives.
Beautifully said.
Thanks.
Well, that wraps up our deep dive into Jaipur Rugs and personal evolution.
Thanks for having me. It's been a really interesting conversation.
Yeah, this was great. And for everyone listening, keep learning, keep growing, and keep evolving.